And welcome back to another BobBlast. Hi, I'm Bob Burridge, and this one is all about my quick guide, and I mean quick, to starting a painting from beginning to end. Just the highlights. And it's all about where's the light coming from. So many of us, our paintings look so flat because we don't have a dark side and a light side, and we don't know where to put the shadow, things like that. But if you can paint a simple ball, and that's what we're going to be doing, you can paint anything because we're looking at the lights and the darks. And then after we do a ball, well, here's your ball. As you can see, dark to light, dark to light. So that's what I mean by dark to light. Even if it's a monochromatic painting, that one of course had all kinds of colors, but for monochromatic, it's still dark to light, dark to light. And it kind of gives a convincing idea that this is a three-dimensional object. The fact that we indicate a shadow, that helps to determine, well, where's the light coming from? Well, the light's coming from this direction. So the shadow goes away from the light source, not towards the light source. And eventually we start off, though, with an orange background or a warm background. That's the way I like to do it. You could do it with a cool background also, but I wanted to show you what I use it for, so it pops through the other colors, basically. So you simply draw a circle, determine where the light source is coming from, so I'm going to put light on that side. If light's on that side of the ball, it's going to be dark on this side of the ball, dark on this side of the ball. Now there's that middle tone, orange, coming right through the middle. Light to dark. And to draw a pear, it's nothing more than a circle and a triangle on the top. The same principles, light on this side of the triangle, dark on this side of the triangle. Put the two together, now we start painting. And once we start painting, now we do lots of them, over and trying different brush strokes and different colors, and really have a great time, because you already know about lights and darks, lights and darks. Now you can be more subtle, more dramatic. It's called teaching yourself to paint. And then when we do these small ones, we'll get over and start doing much larger ones. These are like 8 by 10 inches, and they can be more subtle. The initial warm-up over there was my practice pieces. Now we're gonna kind of, whatever I learned from the other ones, I now put into these. Makes a lot of sense. So that's why we practice over and over and over, and I've been doing this one for about 28 years, still practicing. Pick a simple object, an everyday object, a coffee cup, your sunglasses, and you practice drawing them every day on a strong light source. Let's get started. I'm going to actually do one. Let's paint a ball. First of all, I start off by putting a warm orange tone gesso. This happens to be a Holbein gesso. They come in 20 different colors. So I already put it on a quarter sheet. It's dried, right? I'm going to be using the Holbein paints because they're so brilliant and have a whole lot of pigment in them, and they're thick. They're beautiful. I've already put them out here on my table. I do all my mixing on the table, not on the paper or the canvas. That way, it'll be a cleaner painting at the very beginning. So here we go. I have 2 wide brushes and one for drawing. It's about 1/4 of an inch. My water is on my right-hand side. And let me get started. See how thick this is? I have several dollops of white in here that I like to mix up. By adding white to the paint, it also makes it more opaque. So what are we doing here? We're going to just do a ball. Just a ball. I did it with white and yellow so you can see it. All right. I'm going to have it sitting on a table. Otherwise, it's a ball floating in space. I've also determined this is where the light's coming from. I think this is a real helpful for me. So when I'm over here painting, I might ask myself, where's the light coming from? Well, it's coming from here. All right. Now, we tend to use too small of a brush. Here's this is an 1.5 inch wide brush, flat. And so we're going to put in the light first. I wet the brush, always wet the brush. Don't put a dry brush in your paint because you want the paint to flow off. So short, choppy strokes, and I will let some of that red peek through. You see? It gives it a kind of a painterly look to it. Okay? Short, choppy strokes. Very much like the Impressionist. All right? Now I have that color on my brush, and I want it to be dark, so I'll just use the dark one and a different brush. All right, and I'll add a little bit of red in here too, just to give it some je ne sais quoi. See, now I have like 2 colors coming off. Again, let some of that orange peek through. I know it looks kind of weird right now, but watch, I'll start blending it with smaller brush strokes like this. Almost like a golf ball, right? And to really emphasize the light coming across here, I'm going to make sure that it has a little bit of a shadow, top and bottom. See how much brighter that is now? I'm going to blend this a little bit more. Bring in some of the other color, the light color, on top of that. So instead of blending it with the brush, I'm just blending it with short, choppy strokes. And now the painting starts to develop itself. You see, wow. Now the background, we need to do the background, but before we do that, we need to do the shadow. So usually the object you're painting is sitting on its own shadow, especially if the light's coming across this way. I have this dark on my brush. I may as well come in here and put some over here too. Really emphasize it. The trick also is to paint all over. Don't stay in one place too long. We tend to fall in love with everything. Don't do that because you'll start to tickle it. You're not doing a rendering, you're doing a painting. Now, I have that dark here. I'm going to now do the dark side of the wall. More water. This pigment is so thick that I don't even need to pick up more paint. I'm just adding more water to it. You see how I let that orange peek through a little bit there? So it looks like it's glowing. Do some really light. You want the background to have the same feeling as the ball. You don't want to have it look like it was done by 2 different artists. Let's come in with the light. Because what's happening, think of this as a flashlight or a spot of beam of light shining on this ball. Well, it will continue on and shine on the wall back here. This is where we get a little confused, thinking that if the lights come in here, wouldn't that be light? It would be if that were a window, right? All the light around the window, where it's more diffused. So, and as the light gets further away from the window, it gets darker over here in the room. This is more dramatic. Very theatrical. So you have some darks and lights. And notice the background, you don't have a straight line, dark on one side of the line, light on the other side. You wouldn't want to blend it just a little bit. If you squint your eyes, you see how it blends it. Just for fun, I'm going to add some light on the table. Make my own, make it brighter. Lots of white. By adding lots of white, again, it makes it opaque. And maybe you don't want all that orange peeking through. There you go. So you determine how much orange you want to have. There we go. And that might have been too much orange. Now generally, we make the shadow a cool color, like blue. It's almost like, what's the shadow color in snow? Well, it's usually blue or violet. Generally the complementary color of the light source. That's a gross generality. And I like to stick my finger into this hot pink and really kick it up over here. Ooh. Gives it a little bit more of a personality. I pretend like this side is reflecting something on the wall across the room. It also helps to not make this dark side a big black hole. So there you are. That's a simple ball, dark to light, short choppy strokes. Don't be blending. This is not an airbrush class. And then the background, to make it even brighter, the background you make darker. Dark, light, right? And that's what you do. To make this even brighter, this is fun, to make that even brighter, you make this darker. You don't make that part brighter. This is pretty subtle. I don't know if you'd be able to see this in the film. But see how that pops out now? And to make this even more dramatic, I made the table lighter in this particular case. Let's paint a pear. It'll be the same thing, except it will have a triangle on the top. We're going to do a pear right now. And now, let's do a pear. One of the things I want to point out is on this particular one, I have the background the same. It doesn't always have to be the dark lights and dark lights, but there's still enough contrast. That's what I wanted to point out. Here we go again. Yay, I get to paint. Again, we'll be doing a ball. I have it pretty low. There we go. Doesn't have to be perfect, right? And let's put the triangle on the top. There you go. How easy to do that, right? I like to kind of give it some personality. So I'm going to make this really big. Over here. Over here. Now it has a little bit of a personality. Really, hello, look at that. Even more so. So I like to draw, obviously. And there's the stem. We'll have it sitting on a table. Again, I like to have the table determined at the very beginning, so I know where to put the shadow. Right? So let's get started. Short choppy strokes. Add some white to that. Here we go. Just like we did before. Get in, get out. On this side of the triangle, you see? There's the shoulder of the pear. At this point, I just make it up until it starts to look good. All right, so I do know that that's the light side. Now we're going to go in and do the dark side. The dark side. I have some blue. This is ultramarine blue. Black. Mars black. It might be too dark. I'll come in later on and determine if I want to lighten that up. But I go for it. I don't make those kind of decisions early in this stage. Here's her dark underneath. All right. I'm going to start to blend it just a little bit. More white to that. There we go. Till I get the color I want. That's the color I'm looking for. I'm emphasizing the short, choppy strokes so you can see it. And if you want to, you can certainly blend it a little bit if those marks are too determined. I like to use the paper towel at this point too. To get in there and paint with a paper towel. That helps to soften the edges a little bit more. There we go. Come back in here with some more yellow and pink. Now it's starting to become really painterly. This is where I'm just having like way too much fun. You see? Bringing in my highlight finger. I love painting with my fingers. I don't have to clean the brush. There we go. Besides, it's faster in my demos. And we'll come back up in here and give it some more highlight up in here. Now with the pear stem. I'm going to start adding some blue in here. Again, I'm doing this with my fingers just because it's faster in a demo. Add a little bit of blue and some purple. Oh, look at that color. This is where I get to play. Again, I'm putting some color back in here so that black doesn't become a black hole. Because it would be the only part of the whole painting that would have that much contrast. And for fun, and I mean for pure fun, this is where I come in and bring in that hot pink opera. There we go. Now let's do the background a little bit. Do this quickly. Nice and wet. Let's get this color, and a little bit of that color, and a whole. Yeah, this is a good color. See, the whole painting will hold together because I have a very limited palette. If I squeezed out all 12 colors, this thing would start to look like a train wreck. At the very beginning, or a circus wagon. Here we go. I'm putting in a really simple, bright background. Light, very light green, almost like a mint green. And see how I'm leaving some of the pink or the red background exposed, if I can. And that's what I think gives it that shimmering look. Doing some negative shape painting over here, making the stem a little less dramatic. Keep some of that red in there. Again. So I want you to know that, of course, this was all done without drawing it first. I like to draw with the paint in my brush. Otherwise, you end up doing a drawing and then you don't paint, you color it in. And you're not painting, you're just doing a coloring book. Let's see how all this is coming together. And I do believe in drawing. I draw a lot. But I'm a little skeptical about doing a drawing and then painting in on top of it, unless I'm using charcoal or chalk, just to establish places. I want to get some of this color up into here too. Now I'm all over the place. I'm having like way too much fun. Bringing some warmth up in here. Becomes so painterly at this point. I want to also get my shadow in there. And I'm almost done. Sitting on its own shadow. I'm pretending the light is really low. So we have a nice narrow shadow. And the last thing I'm going to be doing is the color of the table is going to be really light. I'm doing that so the pear is the part that stands out the most. There we go. I like how it rolls around, comes underneath. I'm making the shadow softer on the edge by cutting in to this wet shadow. I just got finished doing it. So it also softens the edge of the shadow. And as the shadow goes further away, it gets softer because of the light. And of course, underneath it, where it's sitting, will be the darkest. So I've just anchored it. And there you go. For a quick demonstration, at least you see the principles of what I'm doing, dark to light and or all light. But make sure you show where's the light coming from. It's a great way to add more drama to your paintings and keep it from going really flat. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you on the next BobBlast. I can't wait to paint for you again. Take care. Keep your brushes wet. Hi, this is Bob Burridge, inviting you back to another virtual juried show. The last ones were so successful. We decided to do another one, and this one is called Mirror Image, a reflection. It can either be about yourself, it can be about your best friend, it can be abstract, it can be realism. Your interpretation, and it can, so as you can see here, it can be from realistic to abstract. Your interpretation. I love this theme, mirror image. So 2D, all paintings. I can't wait to do all of this. And we have Sharon DeGiulio, who is our national juror for this one. You want to get into the show because she has such great explosive tastes on all kinds of art. You know, she used to run the Art of the Carolinas, and now she's somewhat retired, but we pulled her out of retirement so she can now jury your work. This is going to be exciting. This $2,000 worth of prizes. Mirror image, your interpretation. Good luck, and remember the deadline is May the 3rd. Hurry up and start painting your portraits of anyone you want. Take care. Thanks for watching.